The royal family is in crisis after an unprecedented legal action froze Prince Harry's inheritance from his late mother, Princess Diana. This move has stunned the public, raising questions about the future of the Sussex family, the integrity of royal traditions, and the strength of the monarchy itself. Prince Harry and his wife, Meghan Markle, have long been outspoken about their struggles with the media, accusing the press of intrusive and invasive tactics that have caused them significant harm. Their decision to step back from royal duties was framed as an attempt to reclaim their privacy and protect their mental health. However, this legal battle has now introduced a new layer to their narrative, one that revolves not only around privacy, but also around the legitimacy of their claims to royal inheritance. The freezing of Harry's inheritance is not the result of scandal or public opinion, but a calculated decision rooted in law and tradition. The move was prompted by the activation of a clause in Princess Diana's trust known as Clause 3, which had been quietly included decades ago to ensure the integrity of the royal bloodline. This clause, which had never been triggered until now, requires biological verification of the descendants to whom Diana's estate is passed. The reason behind the clause's activation is tied to questions about Meghan Markle's lineage, which has raised doubts over whether Harry's descendants are eligible to inherit the estate as initially intended by Diana. For years, Clause 3 was left dormant, regarded by royal experts as a precautionary measure that no one thought would need to be enforced. However, the timing of its activation has raised alarm bells. Sources close to the royal family suggest that Meghan's past, and particularly questions surrounding her heritage, triggered the need to activate this clause. At its core, the clause addresses the issue of bloodline certainty, not behaviour or reputation, and its enforcement represents a profound moment in the history of the British royal family. Princess Diana's foresight in including such a clause in her will highlights her concerns for her sons' futures, especially regarding potential doubts about their legitimacy. She was deeply aware of how easily lineage and inheritance could be manipulated or clouded by controversy, and she took steps to ensure that her children's legacy would not be jeopardized by such uncertainties. The clause ensures that until questions surrounding Meghan's bloodline are fully resolved, no inheritance can be distributed, and no entitlement can be assumed. What makes this moment even more extraordinary is the resurfacing of a letter written by Princess Diana in 1996, which had been kept private for decades. The letter, found during a routine review of royal inheritances, revealed Diana's deep concern about the potential for confusion and secrecy surrounding her sons' futures. The letter described a mystical encounter with a Tibetan monk who warned of divisions and hidden truths that could weaken royal power. Diana feared that unanswered questions about lineage would one day harm her children, and she wrote this letter as a private warning. Over time, the letter had been dismissed as symbolic, but upon closer inspection, it was discovered that a verse within the letter mirrored the language found in Clause 3. What had once been considered a poetic reflection now appears to be a carefully constructed directive from Diana herself. The letter, which had been stored quietly by Diana's former butler, Paul Burrell, has now resurfaced as a pivotal piece of evidence, strengthening the argument for the activation of Clause 3. Meanwhile, a claim by a woman known only as AM, who alleges to be Meghan Markle's biological daughter, has intensified the situation. AM, who came forward with DNA evidence and sworn statements, claims to be a direct descendant of Meghan's maternal line. Her appearance, though still under investigation, has raised serious questions within the palace about the integrity of the Sussexes' bloodline. AM's DNA test results reportedly show a 99% match with the Markle family, and she has not sought money, titles, or recognition. Her sole aim, she claims, is to verify her lineage for medical and personal reasons, raising doubts not only about Meghan's background but also about the legitimacy of Harry's heirs. AM quote. Claim has added an unforeseen layer of complexity to the situation, forcing the palace to take action. The claim by AM has placed royal officials in the difficult position of having to address a matter that had previously been viewed as a personal or private issue. Once AM's claim emerged, royal protocols regarding lineage verification were triggered, and Clause 3 was activated as a result. This is not a case of scandal or accusation, but a legal process aimed at ensuring clarity regarding the Sussexes' succession rights. The implications of this investigation have far-reaching consequences. English law grants individuals the ability to shape their estates and define the terms of inheritance, as Diana did with her trust. Under this system, Diana had the legal right to include provisions like Clause 3 to protect her family and ensure that her legacy would be passed on without dispute. This legal flexibility stands in stark contrast to other parts of the United Kingdom, where inheritance is more tightly regulated. In the wake of these developments, the royal family's public actions have been carefully coordinated. In Windsor, Prince William, in his role as the future king, has made strategic decisions to suspend all references to Harry and Meghan's name in official matters, freezing charitable engagements and halting any activities associated with the Sussexes. Princess Anne has also suspended any royal duties involving the couple, and public appearances by Princess Catherine have been carefully curated, all signalling a decisive distancing from Harry and Meghan. Across the Atlantic, Meghan's ties to her Hollywood network have begun to fray. Once powerful figures in the entertainment industry, such as Tyler Perry, have gradually distanced themselves from Meghan, citing both personal and professional reasons for stepping back. Other projects that had been in the works have quietly stalled, and Meghan's visibility in Hollywood is diminishing as a result. The most significant step, however, was taken by King Charles, who invoked rare legal provisions to freeze Harry's inheritance and suspend recognition of disputed descendants. This step was both a practical and symbolic action, emphasizing the importance of clarity in the royal lineage. In a brief address to the nation, King Charles acknowledged the legal complexities surrounding the Sussexes and stressed the need for truth and verification before any inheritance could be granted. King Charles's speech marked the start of a historic moment for the monarchy, one where the decisions of the past and the actions of the present converged in a way that would reshape the royal family's future. His words reflected a deep commitment to royal tradition, underscoring that the monarchy's survival depends not on sentiment or personal relationships, but on adherence to law and duty. The situation now stands at a crossroads, with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's royal futures hanging in the balance. Will they be able to reclaim their place within the royal fold, or will they be forced to confront the reality of their separation from the crown? The legal battles surrounding their inheritance and their place in the royal family are far from over, and the outcome could have lasting effects on both their personal legacies and the future of the British monarchy. As the palace waits for the truth to emerge, questions remain. Will Harry's inheritance ever be restored? What role will Meghan play in shaping the future of the Sussex family? And how will the British public and the royal family itself react to the answers? The reckoning has begun, and history will judge whether the past, with all its secrets and unanswered questions, will ultimately decide the fate of the royals. As the crisis deepens, the tension surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle grows ever more palpable. This unprecedented legal action not only questions the validity of their royal inheritance, but also touches on the future of their relationship with the British monarchy. At its core, this issue isn't just about money, titles, or public opinion. It's about legacy, duty, and the preservation of tradition. The royal family has long been defined by its ability to endure through centuries of political and personal challenges, but this moment feels different. The monarchy's response to the crisis reflects not only legal concerns, but also a desire to maintain unity and stability within the House of Windsor. The role of public perception is also undeniable. The decisions made by the royal family and the Sussexes will have lasting consequences on how future generations view the institution. For Prince Harry and Meghan, the challenge is not only to regain their place within the royal fold, but also to navigate their future in a world where their every move is under the microscope. What has become apparent in this ongoing saga is that the monarchy, while steeped in centuries of tradition, is not immune to the forces of modernity. Meghan's background, including her potential hidden history, has raised questions that the royal family can no longer ignore. The palace's decision to freeze Harry's inheritance highlights the lengths to which they are willing to go to safeguard the monarchy's integrity. In many ways, this legal move forces a re-examination of how royal lineage and duty are defined in a time when personal narratives, media influence, and public perceptions shape public figures more than ever. The road ahead is uncertain, and while Harry and Meghan have expressed a commitment to their cause, their future in the royal family may ultimately depend on the clarity of truth and whether that truth will be accepted by all parties involved. For now, the palace has drawn a clear line without verification. There will be no inheritance, no restoration, and no return to royal favour. The monarchy's ability to weather this storm will depend on its adherence to law and tradition, even as it faces the complexities of the modern world.